What's up, guys? The aftermath. I mean, Twitter's gone crazy. I lost my voice last night from streaming the fights. If you guys tuned in, man, that was crazy. I actually cut the stream off before Bruce had read the results of the Ankalaev and Blachowicz fight. I thought for sure Ankalaev cruised to a unanimous decision. Everybody did. We'll just start there since we're already talking about it. It's pretty fascinating. I don't ever remember a decision that was that bad. Obviously, we're going to talk about the Paddy decision, but it was this Ankalaev decision, which I feel isn't being spoken about. Go to MMA Twitter, UFC Twitter right now. The only narrative they're talking about is the narrative that what Dana White has said about the fight. Dana White's a fucking dick most times, man. He was talking trash about it. He said that the fight was terrible. He said that Ankalaev just laid on him for 2 rounds. Why would Dana want to create that narrative, which is false, rather than the real narrative of a high-level fighter with the highest consequences being able to adapt and make adjustments while injured during a fight? That should be the narrative. If Dana White were a positive leader, like if he were in a leadership role, which as the CEO and owner of a company, he is, but he uses it as a power position. He doesn't use it for leadership. A true leader would focus on the adaptability of Ankalaev and how he was able to use his fight IQ, injured his leg in the first or second by getting kicks checked, and that's why his mobility was negated, and then he went to shoot for the takedown in the third, and then he saw the path to victory. And we talked about this. This is exactly what we were talking about last night when we were live streaming this fight, was the fact how smart of a fighter Ankalaev is. And not everybody could do that. You might know the path to victory being an armchair quarterback like us, but when you're in the fight and you have your game plan and your main game plan gets taken away due to either your opponent being better than you or you getting injured, the best fighters in the world are then able to adapt and maneuver and find an alternate way to win. And this is what Ankalaev did, and no one's talking about it. I'm talking about it, but I'm nobody. Dana White should be fucking talking about it. Hopefully, somebody brings that up because I thought it was remarkable. And let's just stay in that division. Anthony Smith is live on air doing the post-fight analysis for the UFC at the event. And he gets notified by one of his colleagues on air that Dana has announced the new 205 vacant title fight between Jamal Hill and Glover in Brazil at the end of January. Why does that matter? Because Anthony Smith was slated and scheduled and in camp to fight Jamal Hill. So without telling Anthony Smith, Dana just does that. That's back to him being a power guy, not a leader. I found that it doesn't get as disrespectful as that. You won't find anything more disrespectful than that. And to think that Anthony works for the UFC, fights for the UFC, everybody, they call him Lionheart for a reason. You would think that the fighters would deserve better than that, but this isn't a specific issue. This is a bigger issue with Dana and the fighters. And if that's not a signal on some of the things that need to change in that organization, I don't know what is, but talk about being unprofessional. So moving on to clear the slate, I think Ankalaev won the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So did his opponent Blachowicz. So did everybody. And it's shocking that it was a draw. It's shocking that Dana then blamed the fighters on the judge's decision. It's shocking that he changed Anthony Smith's contractual agreement and just totally tore it up and threw it away. And it's shocking that Anthony had to find that out on live air. Moving forward, the Gordon versus Paddy fight. Look, guys, I'm not that mad at this decision either, man. I keep trying to find why everybody is so salty about it. I mean, I've watched this fight 3 separate times. I watched it 3 separate times, once with you guys last night, and then I watched it again, and then I watched it with the sound off. Sometimes I like, if it's a close decision, I like watching the fight with the sound off, so I'm not sort of persuaded by what the commentators are saying. Now, everybody from Joe Rogan to Bilal Muhammad, who's obviously in the corner of Gordon, in the whole UFC world feels that Paddy lost. But I don't know, man. I thought if you look how I thought Paddy won the second round. I thought even when you look at the exchange, and I'm not trying to play the contrarian here. I'm actually a bit confused on, is this groupthink into thinking that Gordon won because of the hype train that Paddy has? And I think it's in our human nature to kind of not like hype if we're not part of it. I don't know how much of it is that. I wasn't mad at that decision. I mean, I thought Gordon won the fight. I thought Flash did enough. I thought, and we were talking about this, but I'm not mad at it. I could see how judges would have chose Paddy for the victor. I think a big part of it was what Paddy said after. He felt like he won every round. I mean, the first round wasn't a lot. The first round was close as well. I mean, it could have gone either way. It's not like all of those rounds were significantly one way or the other. Both guys going into Bruce reading the winner, I would have been nervous. I mean, I've seen worse decisions. I mean, Angela Hill has been on the wrong side of a couple terrible decisions. Without me pulling out the old Google off the tip of my mind, I mean, the Carlos Condit, when Condit fought GSP, that was close. When Johnny Hendricks fought GSP, that was one of the worst decisions I've ever seen. There's been some terrible decisions. I don't even think Paddy versus Gordon's up there. But I mean, maybe I'm the fucking weird one because that's not what Twitter's saying either, guys. I'll read some of these tweets real quick before I wrap this up. Okay. People didn't even know who was when he was shown on camera at UFC 282. I don't even know who that is. In response to anybody who feels like he lost, Paddy Pimblett says, "Suck me, asshole." I mean, he's not – you haven't seen another kid handle a win worse than Paddy. I did like what Paddy said about wanting to do charity work with Gordon, and they have plans to do charities to help people with mental health. Paddy's a sweet kid. Michael Johnson, Menace, is campaigning for a fight with Paddy the Baddy. He won't get that fight. I mean, it'd be a tough fight. I just don't think he would give it. I don't think he would get that. I don't think that Paddy would take that fight. And a lot of people are blaming. A lot of people are talking about this Barstool. If you maybe I'll do a separate on the Barstool Sports. It says this makes the Barstool guys look really bad. Just bending over for the lad. Fight of the night. Barstool can give him $50,000, but that performance will never get you a bonus in the octagon. I guess there was like a little moment after or right before the decision was being read where Dana White and Dave Portnoy from Barstool had a little moment, and the conspiracy theorists are dissecting it, saying that, you know, if I were the UFC, I wouldn't have the Barstool guys anywhere near the cage because it looks like the fix was on. I'm 100% serious. Tell me how Santos. Okay, that's a different tweet. Whitaker. Let's see. He should have lost the decision either way. It seems as if Gordon was the highest level Paddy can get to. If he dares to fight the killers in the rankings, he'll get knocked out for sure. Still fighting with his chin up in the air. I mean, he can make adjustments. The chin thing is, we saw everybody was talking about last night. That's just a technical thing that you could drill. You know, if I were his boxing coach, I would get him basically just put a ball, a tennis ball or a cricket ball here, and just have him do his drill work here wherever he goes. And if he lifts the chin up, the ball will fall. I mean, that's fixable. The technical work stuff is fixable. It's the stuff that the judging is a big Paddy not getting the response he wanted from the UFC. Dana White almost admits that Jared. Let's hear what Dana has to say.
Push a guy against. Don't leave it in the hands of these judges. Don't go out in the third round, think you won the first two rounds, and push a guy against the cage when you were doing great in the fight anyway. You already were doing great in the fight. Go out and fight.
Talk about
round.
Gordon.
You know, you already were
all right, that's some edit. The awkwardness when Paddy tried to make that aerial joke to Rogan. Paddy's unhinged. These UFC crowd shots of the decision make America look like the dumbest country on the planet. I disagree. Can we please here's the one. Can we please keep Barstool Sports way away from the UFC? The nod and everything else about this video just screams, we paid the judges. Don't worry. Yeah, I don't see it. The conspiracy theorists love it. Guys, I don't hate the decision, man. I'm not mad at it. Maybe I'm seeing it that somebody else isn't seeing it. People were trying to make it like it was a complete robbery. I don't know. I mean, I was fine with it. We'll see what happens with his career. Poor Anthony Smith. I'm waiting for him to comment. Ankalaev as well. We'll see what he does. Obviously he's very disappointed. Rather than do a whole recap about the card, because it was an exciting card, it just got overshadowed by a couple of these sort of controversial decisions. But there were other great things to talk about. I mean, fucking Ponzinibbio coming back from the dead was a crazy fight. He was losing that fight, and Morono just let it slip away. That's the thing about Ponzinibbio. I mean, we got Raul Rosas, the 18-year-old, looked amazing, looked good on the mic. A lot of stuff to talk about this week. Just want to touch base on this initial major talking points. And stay tuned to the channel. If you haven't subscribed, hit sub now. And if you guys tuned in yesterday, I appreciate it. Lost my voice. Be doing more of those. Flex on them.